Hi everyone. Now I know I said there wasn't going to be any more murder at bedtime YouTube videos, but I think I did say I might just pop back on now and again if I had the chance. So, if there is anyone still out there subscribed, hi, nice to see you again, and hope you enjoy this little story. Now, I'm sure you don't want me to go through all that waffle I normally used to do at the beginning. No, I didn't think so. So plump up your pillows, pull up your duvet, and let's crack on with the mystery of the Peasenhall murder and the death of Rose Annie Harsant. It was calm and quiet on the morning of Sunday the 1st of June 1902, after the worst storm in living memory the night before in the small village of Peasenhall in Suffolk, England. William Harsant was on his weekly walk to Providence House in the middle of the village with fresh laundry for his daughter, 22-year-old Rose, who worked as a living housekeeper for a Mr. and Mrs. Crisp. She had an attic bedroom with its own staircase down to the kitchen where the back door was situated. William would have expected his daughter to have been up and already attending to her household duties, awaiting her father's visit. But as he approached the rear of the house, he could see the kitchen window was covered, something that Rose never did. The door was unlocked, so he entered. The kitchen was quite dark because of the covering, but to the poor man's horror, it was well lit enough that he could see his daughter laying with her head towards the staircase in a pool of blood. Her throat had been cut and part of her clothing was burned away. She was clearly dead. William laid a rug from the kitchen over her and in terrible shock stumbled away to a neighbour's house. One of the family there went to alert the village bobby, Constable Eli Nunn. He at first thought a terrible accident had occurred, and he in turn sent for Dr. Charles Lay, who on first inspection thought it was suicide. It must have been very, very dark in that kitchen that morning. Luckily, when he got Rose into somewhere more well lit, his opinion changed somewhat. He found that Rose had died due to 2 large cuts to her throat. Her face was badly bruised, she had been stabbed in the shoulder, and she had defence wounds. Also, someone had tried to set fire to her. Her nightdress was partially burned. It was also found that she had been 6 months pregnant at the time of her death. The murder of Rose had now passed on to Superintendent Staunton of Suffolk Police, and he was very interested in a broken pill bottle found by the body that smelled of paraffin. Now, Dr. Lay had recognised the label on the bottle because he himself had prescribed it for the children of Geraldine Granger, a neighbour of the Crisp family living only 200 yards away. It didn't take much investigation in the village to find out that there had been a bit of a scandal the year before when it had been alleged that Mrs. Granger's husband, William, had been having an affair with young Rose. The father of 6 was a foreman at Smith's Seed Drill Works, a major employer in the area. He was a highly respected member of the community and was choir master, Sunday school teacher and treasurer at the Primitive Methodist Chapel in nearby Sibton. Rose was a member of that choir. Also, Rose, as part of her employment by the Crisps, was to clean the very small chapel in Peasenhall called the Doctor's Chapel, where Mr. Crisp was the deacon. In May of 1901, Rose, as usual, went to do her cleaning of the chapel. 2 men, George Wright and Alfonso Skinner, allegedly saw William Granger follow Rose into the chapel. They crept up to the door and quietly listened. They later told anyone in the village who would listen to them that a lot of laughing and noises of a sexual nature could be heard. And then Rose had mentioned to Granger about a passage from the Bible that she had been reading, which related to, quote, what we have just been up to. Genesis chapter 38, I believe, but please don't be jumping out of bed just yet to check it out. Now, when Gardner found out the rumour, he was furious and demanded a written apology from the two men. But Wright and Skinner steadfastly refused, even when Granger hired a solicitor and threatened to sue them. They refused to apologise. In the end, Granger had to drop the case as it was beginning to become a bit too expensive. The local Methodist hierarchy decided to have a hearing on Gardner's behaviour and decided that there wasn't enough evidence to take further action, but did warn him about his future conduct. But it would seem he did not stop seeing Rose, and there was at least one report of the pair acting inappropriately. With what the police had found at the crime scene, they really began to feel that William Granger was their man. There was the broken pill bottle prescribed to the Granger children that smelled of paraffin. Why was that in Rose's kitchen? Georgina Granger said she had given Rose the medicine when she had a cold, and that she had now used the empty bottle for paraffin to light the fires in the house. Then there was the newspaper used to set Rose alight. It was not one taken by the Crisps, but was by the Grangers. And then up in Rose's bedroom, the police found 3 letters and some obscene verses. Now, the verses were found to have been written by a neighbour, 20-year-old Fred Davis, who freely admitted writing them because Rose had asked him. Strange, but he was quickly dispelled as a suspect. 2 of the letters were written by Granger about the incident with Wright and Skinner and the rumours that were going around about them, and one other was a note which, while having the characteristics of Granger's writing, wasn't exactly the same. Now, it had been posted to arrive the day before and read, "Dear R, I will try to see you tonight at 12 o'clock at your place. If you put a light in your window at 10 for about 10 minutes, then you can put it out again. Do not have a light in your room at 12, as I will come round the back way." This note was unsigned. 3 days after Rose's murder, William Granger was arrested. His wife Georgina told the police her husband's movements could be accounted for until 1 a.m, and then they had retired to bed. She had not felt well and sat up most of the night. Her husband did not leave their bed until 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. As for he and Rose having an affair, this was preposterous. If she had believed it, why would she still allow Rose to visit her house? William Granger was tried for the murder of Rose Harsant on the 7th to the 10th of November 1902 at Ipswich County Hall. He was defended by Ernest Wilde, and the prosecution was led by Henry Fielding Dickens, the son of the legendary author Charles Dickens. The prosecution claimed that Rose had initiated the meeting with Granger the night of the murder to discuss how he intended to care for her and his baby. Granger, knowing that this would destroy his standing in the church and probably his marriage, decided to kill Rose and make it look like an accident. The defence, of course, do what they do and tried to blacken Rose's character, making out that she had many relationships with many men in the locality. Of course, this couldn't be proven, as nobody came forward to admit to having an affair with her. The evidence against Granger was circumstantial, but there was plenty of it. There was once again the evidence of Wright and Skinner regarding what they saw and heard at the doctor's chapel. There were witnesses who had seen him with Rose and at least one report of him acting inappropriately towards her. There was the note in her bedroom asking her to put a light in her room, which looked like it could be Granger's handwriting, but with efforts to hide it. There was the pill bottle and the newspaper and the footprints. Bricklayer Harry Burgess testified that he had been talking to the defendant outside Granger's house at 10 p.m. on the night of the crime, and there was a light on in Rose's window. Another neighbour said he was surprised to see Granger having a fire in his garden early on a Sunday morning. What was he burning? Bloodstained clothes? Rose's brother admitted that he delivered notes to and from Granger to Rose on a regular basis, and the buff envelope that the note about meeting that evening was one often to be found in the offices of Smith's Seed Drill Works, where William Granger worked. It looked pretty bleak for the prisoner, but in a time when the 12 jurymen had to be unanimous in their verdict, one man believed him to be innocent and would not be swayed. So a mistrial was declared, and another trial date was set for the 24th of January 1903. But by the time the second trial came around, public opinion had changed towards Granger, apart from in the village of Peasenhall, of course. And no new evidence was forthcoming. And once again, the jury could not come to a unanimous decision. And once again, it was declared a mistrial. Another trial was penciled in for June at the Old Bailey in London. But the prosecution and defence agreed it was pointless to have another trial, and Granger was released, being found neither guilty or innocent. There was, however, no way back to Peasenhall for William Gardner and his family, and they moved to South London. William eventually ending up in Uxbridge, where he died in 1941, aged 74. Rose Annie Harsant was buried under a simple wooden cross in Peasenhall graveyard. So a public fund was set up to give her a proper memorial, on which is written, "In affectionate remembrance of Rose Annie Harsant, whose life was cruelly taken on the 1st of June 1902 in her 23rd year. A light is from our household gone, a voice we loved is stilled, a place is vacant from our home that never can be filled." So that's the very sad tale of Rose Annie Harsant. What do you think? I myself think it could have been the wife. Anyway, let me know. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram or down below. Also, let me know if there are any old murders local to you that I could do an episode on my podcast. As always, thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I don't know when the next time I will put one out, but I may do a special one at Christmas. But it's been lovely talking to you all again, or whoever's out there. Sleep well. Night night.